It's Friday, April 24th, and this is now on HNN.
People coming here need to realize that they're serious about it.
More than 3,000 visitors have arrived in Hawaii since the mandatory quarantine order began. Now authorities are coming up with new ways to monitor their location.
We all make the decisions we need to make.
After concerns were raised by state health officials, Mayor Caldwell has decided to put his ambitious COVID-19 testing plan on hold.
More coronavirus relief money will soon be on the way. I'm Natalie Brandt with when the small business loan program could restart, plus the comments the president is now walking back.
Right. And then I see the disinfectant. Is there a way we can do something like that by injection?
These stories plus another U.S. warship has reported an outbreak on board. Coming up on This Is Now.
Hello everyone, thanks for watching This Is Now. I'm Jonathan, your director-producer, alongside Ashley. We begin today with some sad news. The death toll here in the state from the coronavirus has risen.
The state health department is reporting 2 new deaths related to COVID-19, bringing the state death toll to 14. Officials say one of the fatalities is an older Oahu man who has been hospitalized since the beginning of April and had underlying health conditions. They say he also traveled to Las Vegas back in March. The second death is also an older Oahu man who had been hospitalized recently and also had underlying health conditions, but officials say his infection was the result of community spread. Meanwhile, 5 new COVID-19 cases are being reported today. Of the new cases, 3 are on Oahu, and Maui and the Big Island each have 1. Hawaii's total now stands at 601, and officials say more than 450 people have been released from isolation so far.
All right, we want to move to some other developing news. The president has signed a 4th COVID-19 financial relief bill with a price tag of nearly $500 billion. The fight for a possible next step, a 5th stimulus package, is now intensifying. Natalie Brand is at the White House. She has the very latest developments and filed this report.
I'll sign the bill.
With the president's signature, more money will soon be on the way to small businesses, hospitals, and coronavirus testing.
I want to thank Congress for answering my call to pass this critical funding.
Small Business Committee Chairman Senator Marco Rubio tweeted the Paycheck Protection Program should reopen Monday morning with not just the additional $310 billion from this bill, but with money returned by some big publicly traded companies who took loans in round 1.
Some of the bigger businesses that had taken out loans should return the money. We appreciate they've done that. There will be a surveillance around this if they don't.
Several Senate Democrats are calling on the Small Business Administration's Inspector General to investigate reports that some major lenders prioritized larger customers for the loans. As lawmakers now look toward another stimulus bill, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said it must include funding for state and local governments.
There will be a bill, and it will be expensive, and we look forward to doing it as soon as possible because jobs are at stake.
But Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said this week states should consider filing for bankruptcy rather than adding to the federal deficit.
What Leader McConnell's saying is we need to look at that. You cannot spend indefinitely.
The president also walked back comments he made at Thursday's media briefing.
Right. And then I see the disinfectant. Is there a way we can do something like that by injection? I was asking a question sarcastically to reporters like you just to see what would happen.
Earlier in the afternoon, Vice President Mike Pence held a conference call with state governors to discuss reopening plans and testing. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
And the president's daily task force briefing just wrapped up moments ago. Today, he did not take any questions. It only lasted 21 minutes, but he did speak earlier, which you saw in Natalie's package, when he did the actual bill signing. So Let's move on to some news from here at home.
That's right. The city announced it's putting its plans for expanded COVID-19 testing in Oahu's communities on hold after concerns from the state health department that the tests are not FDA approved. Mayor Kirk Caldwell says the city has not yet paid the Texas-based company the almost $2 million cost to purchase the test kits. Our Allison Blair spoke to Guy Kaulukukui yesterday. He is who Mayor Caldwell put in charge of the testing program.
Were you concerned by the state's reaction and the fact that they were, in your words, just adamant, no, this is a bad idea?
I was concerned that there was no evidence being offered for why the test was one they had concern over.
The city says it wants to meet with the state before moving forward. The new testing initiative would have started next week at 7 community health centers.
All right, making sure visitors stick to those quarantine rules has not been easy for authorities or officials, but some tourists have been busting themselves out because they've been posting on social media. Lynn Kawano reports on how there's some new ways that officials are tracking these tourists.
Authorities are coming up with new ways to monitor the location of tourists. Since the quarantine began more than 3 weeks ago, about 3,300 visitors have arrived. Lured by cheap airfares and empty beaches, tourists are shamelessly ignoring quarantine. But law enforcement is now cracking down. Edwin Chun and Kimberly Tian of Las Vegas were forced to take an overnight flight back to the mainland. This is a picture of them at the gate Wednesday night.
They would leave immediately. They weren't going to be charged a second time. The first charges are still pending, and we got to figure out what's going on with that.
The couple arrived on Oahu on April 15th, and their attorney, John Burge, says they were aware of the 14-day mandatory quarantine. When they violated it, the hotel they were staying at called the authorities.
People coming here need to realize that they're serious about it. And if you violate it, they're going to come out and arrest you.
After their first arrest, they switched hotels to avoid detection. Tun and Tien paid for their own tickets home, but for those who can't afford it, the Visitor Aloha Society of Hawaii, or VASH, is assisting, purchasing tickets for 19 people to go back to the mainland, including Arona Lopez, who ended up in a tent village on Waimanalo Beach.
The visitors that we've sent home are visitors who either arrived here and have no place to stay during the 14-day quarantine, or they came here and they broke quarantine and had no interest in keeping with the quarantine law, and so they were sent back home.
The hotels are a key resource, reporting those who are seen leaving the property during the quarantine. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Officials on Kauai are thinking about lifting some restrictions by May 3rd, but Mayor Kawakami has made it very clear that Kauai will be doing so on its own timeline.
We will not be pushed to reopen prematurely if this team and myself does not feel that it is safe and it's the right thing to do. That being said, we do know that we eventually have to reopen and get the wheels of our economy turning. But like I said before, we do it in a safe, responsible, and staged process.
Honolulu Mayor Kirk Caldwell said this week that a neighbor island like Kauai, which has set the example for minimizing the spread of the virus, could be used as a test site for reopening tourism. Officials say in order to begin gradually lifting restrictions, there must be no signs of community spread for at least 4 weeks. Now, the latest update from health officials showed only one active and confirmed case on the Garden Isle. The 20 other patients have either recovered or returned to their residences outside of the county. Meanwhile, in Maui County, Mayor Mike Victorino says he'll announce Monday if the stay-at-home order will be extended until the end of May. The Maui mayor says it's a strong possibility. He says he will also announce on Monday what beach parks might be opening for exercise.
Another grim milestone, the U.S. death toll from the coronavirus is now top 50,000. Even with those fatality numbers continue to rise nationwide, some states are allowing some of the restrictions to ease up. A number of states had that go into effect today. Michael George reports from New York.
As drivers in Georgia urged people to stay home,
Good morning. How's everyone doing?
workers at this salon in Marietta checked customers' temperatures out of an abundance of caution.
Nervous, anxiety, all that too, but, we all want to come back to work.
Georgia Governor Brian Kemp allowed close contact services like salons, gyms, and tattoo parlors to reopen Friday.
Social distancing works. And it absolutely must continue.
Tennessee Governor Bill Lee and Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds plan to slowly reopen some businesses next week, while stay-at-home orders were extended in Michigan. Here in New York City, preliminary results of random antibody testing show as many as 1/5 of residents may have already been infected. Accurate antibody testing is seen as an important tool in determining when people can go back to work.
Really kind of crazy how sick this virus makes people.
This anesthesiologist at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York returned to work after surviving COVID-19.
We are people treating people, and the emotional component to it can never be separated.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is warning reopening too soon would erase the state's progress.
Number of new people coming into the hospital, number of new infections is slightly down, but that's basically a flat line, and that is troubling.
Nationwide, total cases are approaching 900,000, while more than 80,000 people have recovered from COVID-19. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
All right, and now we have an update regarding what Trump was talking earlier about, right?
That's right.
In regards to the disinfectant.
Right, so those comments obviously received backlash of injecting disinfectants to kill the virus, and the company that makes Lysol is urging people to not consume its cleaning products, saying human consumption of these products is dangerous. The company said, quote, "Under no circumstance should our disinfectant products be administered into the human body through injection, ingestion, or any other route."
All right, the mayor of Japan's third largest city is facing big criticism today. He suggested that men are better suited to go grocery shopping during the pandemic. Will Ripley explains this controversy from Tokyo.
The government is having a hard time getting people to comply with social distancing guidelines, even as this country enters the Golden Week under a state of emergency amid increasingly dire warnings from the government that hundreds of thousands of people could die without social distancing measures from coronavirus. In Japan's third largest city, Osaka, the mayor, Ichiro Matsui, says he has an idea to cut down on all the people who are packing into supermarkets. A lot of people in Japan go grocery shopping every day because they have to carry the groceries home if they don't have a car. He says people should only go shopping 2 or 3 times a week, and he suggests that the men do the shopping instead of women. Why? Because he says women take too long in the grocery store because they look at the products and compare the prices, whereas he says men just go in and pick up what they're told. Even in this largely male-dominated society, those comments are sparking outrage, with some suggesting that the mayor may have never actually gone grocery shopping himself. Meanwhile, the number of coronavirus cases in this country has increased tenfold just in the last month.
The Navy says another warship at sea has reported an outbreak and is returning to port. Officials say at least 18 USS Kidd crew members have tested positive for the virus. The destroyer is operating in the Pacific off the coast of Central America. The Navy says one sailor with symptoms was flown from the ship Thursday to a medical facility in San Antonio where he tested positive, and additional cases aboard the ship are expected to be confirmed.
All right, China reports another milestone in the fight against the coronavirus, while the World Health Organization moves on without the U.S. Chris Martinez has a wrap-up of some of today's headlines in this report.
A global campaign to defeat the coronavirus pandemic was announced this morning in Switzerland, but the United States won't be involved. The World Health Organization is hoping to raise more than $8 billion to fight the disease. The group says its goal is to ensure that all nations will have access to any COVID-19 vaccines or treatments that are developed. Last week, the White House halted U.S. payments to the WHO, pending a review of its initial handling of the outbreak. The Chinese government says the last critically ill coronavirus patient in Wuhan has recovered. The city is where the virus first emerged late last year. Officials say 47 COVID-19 patients are still hospitalized there, in addition to 30 people with what they describe as long-term positive test results. And Russia has taken its anti-coronavirus effort to the streets. Sanitation trucks and crews have begun spraying roads and sidewalks with disinfectant in an effort to kill the virus. The Kremlin is reporting nearly 70,000 confirmed infections, most of them in Moscow. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Now, here's an interesting new report by Business Insider. Over the past several weeks, Hershey's has seen a 40 to 50% drop in the sale of gum and breath mints. It's believed that with social distancing and stay-at-home orders in place in most states, people are caring less about having minty fresh breath. I know, interesting. But Hershey is seeing a boost, obviously, in chocolate sales as well as baking ingredients.
I don't know. I would actually have thought that the gum and mint sales would have been way, way, way up, right?
Why?
Because you're smelling your own breath the whole time, so you're more aware of it. I mean, we just had some eggs and things, garlic fried rice out there. I don't know.
But we're working.
Okay.
All those people at home aren't, so they don't care.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's the difference. I'm just looking out for you.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, yeah, no problem. All right, we want to check in with our film critic this week, Terry Hunter. He's got some advice on what to watch, and it's some oldies, but a goodie. All right, we're checking in today with Terry Hunter, H&N's own entertainment and film critic, longtime KGME reporter, been in the community for quite a while. Terry, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure. It's good to talk to you.
Yeah, always. So theaters are closed. People can't go get those movie tickets and go see something on the silver screen. When you first heard the news that those were shutting down, what did you think being a film critic?
Well, I thought it'll be really interesting to see how they handle all the new films that are supposed to come out and all the films that were in the theaters when the theaters had to close. And in fact, most of those movies that were in theaters are now available for streaming. But they charged from $12 to $19.99 to watch them. But most good films, as I suspected would happen, most of the prestigious films or the Oscar contender type stuff is being postponed.
What have you found out there that you've enjoyed or recommend?
You know, I haven't watched much. In fact, I haven't watched any of the new film streaming because they just don't appeal to me that much. But I've been trying to go back and think about what my favorite films were, especially for the segment on Hawaii News Now. Like this week, I'm going to talk about Groundhog Day, which is a classic feel-good comedy that even if you've seen it, as I have, at least 3 times, it holds up and it's still a lot of fun and it makes you forget for, an hour and 40 minutes what's going on, that so many people are suffering and worried, and so it's that kind of thing is what I'm looking for.
It's interesting you picked Groundhog's Day because not only from the news reporter's standpoint, but that sense of the same day over and over again, which so many people have to be feeling right now, and that puts a light spin on it.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking too.
What else is out there? A lot of people relying on the streaming services. What are you seeing out there?
Well, one of the things I actually talked about this last week, I believe it was on Hawaii News Now, which is Canopy. I don't know if you've heard about it. Canopy is a streaming service that's only available through libraries. And up to now, Hawaii State Library hasn't had it. First of all, it costs them a lot of money, but they're offering it just for this month, April. And it's a great service because there's 30,000 films and TV shows on it. Most of them you can't find anywhere else, and they build themselves as thoughtful entertainment. So you could see all kinds of foreign films and classic films, and it's quite amazing. So I'm trying to jam in as much as I can of those right now, because at the end of April, it's probably going to end. The library offers a feedback form that they want you to fill out, and I encourage people to do that if they'd like to see it continue. If they continue it, they will limit each library card holder to 6 or 7 films a month, which still, that's plenty. I mean, I'd be very happy with that.
Well, Terry, I thank you so much for letting us check in with you. We have all your reviews posted on our H&N digital sites, so you can check them out if you're looking for something to watch. And I hope you just stay safe and keep giving us content to check out.
I hope you stay safe too, and as long as I'm healthy, I'm going to keep doing this.
Love me some Terry Hunter.
He does not age. He
know.
looks exactly the same as when I met him 15 years ago.
He actually mentioned his age, which I won't do, but I was very surprised. And I loved his suggestions, like going back. I didn't even think about how movie production companies and movie studios wouldn't be releasing those big name or big hopeful Oscar contenders because they want to wait so people can actually go to the theater and get their profits out of it. So I like the idea of going back and some of our favorites. That was a great suggestion by him for Groundhog's Day.
I love that movie.
I've been watching Mad Men, 6 Feet Under. The one new thing I watched is Miss America, which is available on Hulu. It's sort of a look back. It's a drama, but it's a play on a true story about the feminist movement in the late 60s.
Interesting. I've been watching a lot of stand-up comedy lately. I don't know if it's because I need my mood to be lifted a little bit, but yeah, Amy Schumer, Ali Wong, Eliza Schlesinger. Yeah.
I like that suggestion. All right, this is a good suggestion, and it's going to come next week to KHNL, and I'm pumped about this one. I love this show.
I cannot wait.
Yeah, because America's Favorites Park Department is back together in Pawnee, Indiana. NBC is airing a special Parks and Recreation reunion episode next week. And it's all to raise money for the Feeding America program. For more than 5 years, the show's been off the air, so we haven't seen them for a while. We need to catch up. The original cast is coming back with some special guest stars, and that's going to air on April 30th, again right here on KHNL. The show focuses around Amy Poehler's character, Leslie Knope, trying to connect with her former friends during a pandemic. Imagine that.
So it's going to be so good.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be like the SNL. I'm assuming that it's all shot sort of through Zoom and social distancing efforts.
And I wonder what original characters are going to be coming back.
I am such a Donna and Ron Swanson fan. They needed their own spin-off. Truly, they're so funny. Treat yourself.
Totally. And in an effort to help families during this difficult time, there are 2 massive food drives going on this weekend. So this Sunday, April 26th, the city, along with organizations Aloha Harvest and the Chef Hui, will be handing out 1,000 pre-packaged food bags from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Waipio Soccer Complex. The bags will be stuffed with local produce, proteins, and ingredients, as well as recipe cards, including one to make Chef Mark Gooch No Gucci's famous kitchen sink stew.
Ooh, giving away some secrets.
Yeah. Also on Sunday, the Show Aloha Challenge and its partners are holding a keiki food drive from 8 a.m. to noon at La Tour Cafe along Nimitz Highway. The rules for this event is that you must have children in your vehicle and you are not allowed to exit your car. Volunteers will be distributing 1,000 care packages containing items like bread, baked and frozen goods, and snack packs. Families with 2 keiki or less in their vehicle can receive 1 package, while families with 3 or more keiki will get 2 packages.
Very cool. Cool to see that people are out and just keeping up that aloha spirit, right?
Yes.
There's a really cool program that's keeping hula alive during this pandemic. Ben Gutierrez filed this report.
This is what a hula lesson looks like now for Kumuhula Vicky Takamine. She's been using Zoom to teach 15 to 20 people at a time.
What it's doing for us is giving us an opportunity to see each other healo, face to face, at a time when we're not supposed to be seeing each other.
It's also challenging Kumuhula to come up with new ways of teaching.
Hula is so visual. I'll demonstrate and I'll perform it, and they'll follow and they'll mimic. So you don't really have to articulate it. Now we're having to articulate it as well.
You guys ready to move? Up! 1, 2.
Kumuhula Nalani Keale has been teaching from his backyard to a worldwide audience on Facebook Live.
Behind is 45 chest, lifting, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to my right.
There are some obvious drawbacks to having a virtual class.
I can't go up to them and physically fix their hands and tilt their head and pushing their back for their posture.
Almost got there. And Zoom isn't perfect at keeping everyone together, on screen at least.
When I'm watching them, they're all at different times. We're not synchronized whatsoever.
But for those teaching hula and those learning it, this is the next best thing.
The main thing, we just want to get the hula out there.
Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
People making the best of what they can do. I've seen some crazy Zoom fails. Have you watched any of those memes?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
they're
love
pretty good.
The live reporters at home and their cats are like licking themselves in the background or their dog.
And then there was even some with the draft yesterday. Some might have been staged. I don't know if you saw that, but there's some bathroom use in the background there.
Right.
All right, we got a lot coming up for you here on H&N today, folks. We got a governor's press conference that we know about. We're assuming it's going to happen, actually. The governor, that's later this afternoon. We assume he's going to say some sort of announcement, but definitely Mayor Caldwell's up next. That's happening today at 1:30. We're going to bring that to you on our H&N digital platforms. And then, again, if the governor does come out this afternoon, we'll be sure to bring that to you also live. And then you can always just get a wrap-up by signing up for our newsletter. That's on our H&N digital platform.